Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live episode with me, George. And today I'm joined by Luke from the 1892 Reds podcast. Luke, how are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm all right, George. Thanks for letting me come onto the channel. It's been a while. But yeah,
Since you
looking
jumped
forward
on that bloke's back at Wimbledon.
What a video. What a video. I mean, that was absolute scenes. I mean, don't obviously not being a Gillingham fan, but like you can't help but celebrate a 96-minute equaliser, especially down to 10 men. So, absolute
Oh, it
scenes
was
that
brilliant.
night. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Thanks for coming on, mate. If you guys haven't already, you guys have got nearly 400 subscribers, so I'm sure there's no one on here. But in
We're
case you haven't,
stuck at 366 at the moment. Like, you know what I mean?
It's all right. You'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, which I'm sure you probably already have, go and subscribe to the 1892 Reds podcast. And look, we've got yesterday's guest already in the comments. Look at the two dossers.
You big bum.
We've got Yusuf in the chat. Right, we've got two, maybe three things to talk about today. First things first. Obviously, yesterday we looked at Eddie Howe at Newcastle. Luke, I would like to ask your opinion on that.
He's the luckiest man in football at the moment, isn't he? I mean, how and he's not a bad manager. Let's not be mistaken. Eddie Howe's a good young manager. He's done well at Bournemouth. He didn't really do too great at Burnley, but at Bournemouth is where he'll be remembered. But to be quite honest with you, it's not really for me a step in the right direction for Newcastle. I don't think he's a level above Steve Bruce, in my opinion. I think Newcastle missed out on Unai Emery because Emery probably looked at the bigger picture and thought, Villarreal in the Champions League, they're doing well in La Liga, probably thought at the moment, like, is Newcastle really a good direction to go? Yeah. In the future, it will be. But obviously, Eddie Howe, there's a reason he's only been given a short-term contract because, if he buggers up, then obviously where the Newcastle go? Is he the man to keep Newcastle out of the relegation zone? They're bottom of the table at the moment. I know we're still 11 games in. There's a long way to go, but
yeah,
Newcastle in a bit of trouble, and I don't know if Eddie Howe is probably the right man for that job, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, we spoke about it yesterday. Newcastle are sat equal bottom of the table with Norwich, and I think at the start of the season I said Newcastle were in trouble. Steve Bruce, a nice of a bloke, I'm sure he is. He just wasn't the man to take Newcastle where they wanted to be, and Mike Ashley just didn't want to get rid of him. Obviously, we know how stubborn he was with his money and his spending of wages. But yeah, Yusuf putting, how I look at it is that he brought Bournemouth from League Two to the Prem. I feel like that's a massive achievement.
No, I'm not. As I said, he's a good manager. He's a very good young manager, and he's done excellent at Bournemouth. But let's be real, Newcastle is a huge challenge now. He's never really, in my opinion, when he's been in a relegation battle, been able to keep that team up. He got Bournemouth relegated as well. I don't think with the budget that he's going to get at Newcastle, is he that type of manager that's able to take them forward with that amount of money? Is he a manager that's going to be able to attract big names? I know they've got money. They're going to attract the names with the financial wages, etc. But is he that type of manager that is going to say to a player, look, come and live in Newcastle. We're going to give you this amount of money. For me, Newcastle should have gone a bit more expansive. I mean, you got the likes of, I think someone like a Frank Lampard, a Steven Gerrard would have been a much better ideal replacement for him, because I think they're sort of managers that I think players would like to play under. But yeah, I don't know. I might be wrong, but I personally don't believe Eddie Howe is the man to take Newcastle forward.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, I think we've spoke about this before, not just on here but in general. A lot of people have said that even if Newcastle do go down, it's just a season. They just put a season behind. They'll probably come straight back up. Well, they will come straight back up. And I think for Newcastle, if Eddie Howe keeps him up, fair enough, keep him on. And if you can't move him further, then tough luck. See you later. Get someone new in. I think we've got Ricky in. He's talking about Stevie G to Villa. We'll get onto that in a minute.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll go on to it now. Steven Gerrard in talks with Aston Villa. Now, this is something that's happened over the last few days since Dean Smith has been sacked. Obviously, we've got Dean Smith and him being sacked in the thumbnail. Did you think that was the right decision from Villa?
At the time, no, but I think it was coming.
Yeah.
They've lost 5 games in a row. Like, I do think he deserved a bit of time. I mean, especially they've spent a lot of money this window. I know they lost Grealish and they was able to spend that Grealish money. You know, they've got players like Buendia, who was excellent for Norwich. He was probably their best player last season. You know, Leon Bailey, Danny Ings. You know, they've brought in some very good players into that squad. But I just feel, you know, 11 games in, there's not enough time. I think if this run continued until probably around Christmas time, yeah, I think Aston Villa would probably look into it. But Aston Villa probably see themselves as what they. For me, I said at the start of the season, I thought Villa could have challenged potentially top 6. I generally felt with the squad of players they've got, and the manager was always going into that right direction. I mean, they're what, 15th in the table. I mean, a couple of wins that can easily change. They could be back into the top half. But I did feel it was a little bit harsh, but I did feel it was slightly coming. And that's just how football is. Like, look at Santo. He got no time at Spurs. He got sacked. You know, like, Farke's had plenty of time at Norwich. He's eventually been sacked after he's won a game. But, you know, that's just how football is. And it is slightly harsh, but, you know, unfortunately, that's the reality of football at the moment.
Yeah, I'll just check the table now. Villa sit 16th without a win in 5. They've lost the last 5 games in a row, which for them, obviously, we were speaking at the start of the season. I think I had them as my dark horse for the season. I think everyone had them as their dark horse for the season. Just purely and simply because, like you said, they sold Grealish for 100 million. They was able to sign Buendia, Leon Bailey, Danny Ings. And like even from last season, they were brilliant last season. They went right under the radar last season. And this season, I don't know what's happened. And I think they've done the right thing. Maybe it's a bit harsh, but you've lost 5 games in a row. Some of the games you're expected to win, some maybe not. But when you're sat 16th in the Prem, losing 5 games in a row, you're a team. You've gone out and spent all this money. You've got to make a change, and they've done that. And like we said before, Steven Gerrard in talks with Aston Villa. Obviously, you're a Liverpool fan, and I'm sure you've been following Gerrard quite closely at Rangers. We both know he's been doing a fantastic job over there. How do you think his tactics would differ from the Scottish League to the Premier League?
I mean, you can use Brendan Rodgers as an example, coming to Leicester. And obviously, he's done a very good job at Leicester. He's won the FA Cup. He's obviously a couple of times he's challenged the top 4. I don't think Villa are in that situation at the moment, but I see it in one or two ways. I think it's a great appointment for him if he wants to believe that he's good enough to manage in the Premier League, and then he wants that stepping stone for the Liverpool job, because that's where I think it's going to be. I think if he takes that 2 to 3 year contract at Aston Villa, he'll feel that by the year 24, 25, like year 2024, that's when Jurgen Klopp's contract runs out. He may not want to extend. So then Gerrard, if he does well at an Aston Villa, he would possibly be the Liverpool manager. That's what I feel. But also at the same time, it might be a bit of a poison challenge, because he may come to Aston Villa. Aston Villa could be a club where they've got aspirations to be a top 6, top 8 club. Is Gerrard that fit right now? He's a good prospect as a manager. Do Aston Villa want a manager that is a bit more elite? Do Aston Villa want a manager that possibly, as I said, is able to definitely be able to get them there, like, because they've got that experience? I look at managers at the moment like Ten Hag at Ajax. I think he's an excellent appointment if they could get that.
He is a brilliant manager, by the way.
They may not be able to get him because I think possibly United could be looking around him at the moment. Another manager that obviously we spoke about a few days ago was Martinez. I think Martinez has done well with the Belgian team. I think he's done a decent job at Everton, to be fair. I mean, let's not forget he did win the FA Cup as well, Wigan. So like, he's got experience in the Premier League as well. So I think Martinez could be a manager as well that could possibly get Villa to that next step, but Dean Smith couldn't. But if Gerrard gets the Villa job, I do want him to do well because I do expect in 3 or 4 years to come he will be the Liverpool manager.
Yeah.
But he needs to know he's making that right decision. If he's going to stay at Rangers, maybe he wants to win another title there, get him back in. Maybe the aim, I think, for Steven Gerrard at the moment is if he gets Rangers to the Champions League group stage, that would be a massive achievement. But
yeah, 100%.
if he leaves, then
Sorry,
obviously see what happens.
Just to cut in, Yusuf put Dean Smith got lucky not to get relegated in the 2019-20
Doesn't
season.
matter, he didn't.
Yeah, like if you don't get relegated, who cares? If you win the Champions League final with a spongy goal off someone's arse, you win the Champions League
The
final.
table doesn't lie.
No, exactly. I mean, we all know that they got lucky with the goal line technology decision, but to be honest,
that one decision obviously kept him in the Premier League. Let's not be mistaken, but that's not their fault.
no,
Like
no, of
they
course not.
like Sheffield United, the ones they should be complaining to is the Premier League, not Aston Villa. But
Yeah, 100%.
he's done an excellent. I think he's done a good job there. To be fair,
Yeah, I think Dean Smith. I mean, who knows? Norwich might want him. Who knows if Everton sack Benitez or if Wolves sack Bruno Lage? They
Agent
might want
Benitez
him.
ain't going nowhere, mate.
No, I'm just giving examples, like in case any other managers do go. You're saying that Rangers aren't doing that good in the Europa League. They're third at the moment. Well,
Yeah,
if
but
they finish third,
they've got a tough group. But I mean, the league itself, like I mean, where do you? Let's be real. Like he got Rangers to the last 16 of the Europa League last season.
That's
and he narrowly got beat by a very good side in, I think it was Leverkusen. I think that knocked him out.
Yeah.
But like, you know, they gave Bayer Leverkusen a very good game. Like, where do you expect Rangers to be, you know, in Europe? They're not on, you know, the last time they got to a final, I think in Europe was back in like 2002 or something like that, under Walter Smith. But, you know, Rangers and Celtic have not been able to compete in European competition for the last, say, 20 years.
Yeah, you know, I think the last time either team was somewhat competitive is when Celtic beat Barcelona that one time with like 5% possession or whatever it was.
19% possession.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. But yeah, for Villa, obviously they sit 60th. They're only 2 points off the drop. I think they'll be fine as long as they can get someone decent in.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think, you know, they've got the players to do it, but I think Villa have just thought about it and thought this isn't where we want to be. They may want a manager, as I said before, that can, you know, make them a bit further into the table and a bit more experience. But if they go with the potential approach with Gerrard, that might be a bit of a risky one because they've done that with Dean Smith in a way. So
yeah, but and with Dean Smith, it sort of worked. And well, obviously he's been sacked now, but last season it definitely worked. So yeah, Steven Gerrard to Villa, maybe. Who knows? Now I did have another banner, but it hasn't decided to save. So I'll leave you with this one for now, whilst I quickly type up the new one. Luke, if you could talk about Norwich,
really.
their position, if their position in the league, and obviously talk about Farke and Lampard, and tell us that stat you told me earlier.
Oh, what? Frank Lampard's got much more net worth than Delia Smith.
Yeah, that one.
It's like nearly. I think Lampard was worth what 66 million. His net worth, from what reports are saying, and Delia Smith's worth around 23 million. I think it's the first time in history that a manager will be worth higher than the owner of a club. I mean, that just it goes to show for me. It goes to show the levels of what Norwich are about. I heard an interview on TalkSport a few weeks ago. Norwich are content in being a top 26 club, which all it means is that they get relegated, they're happy to finish top 6 in the Championship. You know, like they're a yo-yo club. That's what they want to be. And they've got, there's pros and cons of it. Like I've spoke to your dad about it. Like, you know, at the end of the day, Norwich are happy to be a club like this because they don't want to fall into a place like where Portsmouth have been and Coventry, Sunderland, all these clubs. But for me, just show a bit more ambition. Like you've got parachute payments to cover you. Like if you know you're going to be continuously coming up, coming down. but they hardly spend any money. They like to make a profit, and good luck to them. But I don't expect Norwich to be saved this season. I think they will go down, even if Frank Lampard does take the job. I think he'll be a good manager for their younger players. I think Billy Gilmore will thrive on it this season with the likes of
Oh,
Lampard as the
100%.
manager.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, let's see what Lampard can do, because you got to see it maybe as a Derby situation with the players he had there, because I think Derby, he had a lot of loan players in, like Mount, and I think Tomori was there as well.
Harry Wilson.
Harry Wilson. So maybe Norwich are a similar sort of crop of players, but it's. I mean, it's definitely a level for him, and he needs to get back into that sort of management because of his sacking by Chelsea also ago. So,
Yeah. Will in the chat, how you doing, Will? Do you think Lampard will go to Norwich? I mean, he's the favourite at the moment, isn't he? So I'd say yeah, and I think it would be a good appointment, but I don't think he'll keep him up, if that makes sense. And I think if we talk about Daniel Farke, I think they did the right thing with him. He got them up to the Premier League, and then they got relegated. They kept him on and gave him another chance. He got promoted again, but he still couldn't hack the Premier League. He didn't know the tactics he used just wasn't good enough, so they got rid of him.
But I mean, if you're looking at form-wise, as you said, of course, like, he's not good enough. But as I said earlier, like, Norwich were content of being a top 26 club. So does it matter if he's still there or not?
I guess you could say that, but the way I see it is that they gave him that first chance, it didn't work. They gave him a second chance, it didn't work. So they eventually said, right, we've given you 2 chances now. It hasn't worked both times. It's time for you to go. And I think Lampard, like you said, with the younger players, Gilmore, you've got Josh Sargent over there, who's a very good young striker. Maybe not Premier League worthy yet, but one for the future. Same as Christian Solis, the Greek winger. I only really know these players because of Football Manager and Career Mode, but they're still good young.
I don't know much. I mean, I think apart from probably Pookie and Tim Krul and maybe Max Aarons, I think who else is there? Like Grant Hanley.
Cantwell, yeah.
I mean, where's Todd Cantwell been?
He had a good start yeah. We were saying Farke is a great manager for the Championship, but not Prem quality. I agree with that. I mean, you said earlier that they haven't spent money, and I would like to contradict that. This season they've spent a little bit. They spent, I think, around 12 million.
What's that in the Premier League?
Yeah, exactly. Which isn't.
I mean, that's more than Liverpool, to be quite honest with you. I mean, that should be.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we've spent 35 million on Konate, but to be honest, we've couped back 45 million on player sales. So.
Yeah. Will, just quickly, would you wait? Pookie will be probably retiring soon. I think he's only like
Norwich
28.
legend.
He's only like 28. He's not Finnish.
Yeah, only Finnish. 28. No, he's from Finland. Oh, blue Scottish.
That is a great meme. Right, Luke, the next segment, I kind of did it with Yusuf yesterday, but I'm going to change it up for today. I'm going to go through every team in the league, and you're going to give them a rank. So A to B, or A to F. A being excellent, F being fail, like a sort of school exam system. So if you could, I've got the table up here. I'll go from bottom to top. So we'll start with the 2 teams we've been talking about today. Norwich.
E.
An E. Why would you say an E?
I wouldn't say an F because you'd expect them to be in that position, but their form hasn't been great. Like, they've only just won their first game of the season after 11. Their goal difference is quite poor, and that's just irrelevant if they conceded the 7 goals against Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, losing to Chelsea isn't the baddest thing in the world for Norwich, but 7-0 is quite embarrassing. I mean, that's a sackable offence in itself anyway. Yeah, I just don't think it's an F because, like, you expect Norwich to be in that position, sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Newcastle.
E again. I mean, I'm not being funny. Like, again, the last couple of seasons, apart from the investment, I expect Newcastle to be in and around this position. Steve Bruce is a manager, or has been a manager, is relegation battle challenges, like try and keep the team up. But he's got the differences with Newcastle compared to Norwich, is Newcastle have got a much better squad. And I believe that they shouldn't be in that position with the squad of players they've got. So E, again, potentially an F, depending how well they do until Christmas.
It's always bloody Burnley.
Again, same again.
Yeah.
Similar to Newcastle, but I think with Burnley, it's Sean Dyche will find a way to get them in and around that, out of that area. So yeah, I'm just going to stick with the E's.
Yeah, wait till they play Man United and Goldbridge is on the live. Then we'll know.
I mean, you'll get 3 points over there.
Yeah. Watford.
D. I think a D. I think, again, a team that first start the season to stay up. Is Ranieri the person to keep him up? Only time will tell. I mean, he might not even be in the job until the end of the season, the way Watford get rid of managers. But
they were in 13th and they sacked the manager.
Yeah, and I think that's why I give them a D, because I think they had a good start to the season. I think, but they've sacked
Pearson.
Yeah, but I mean, Pearson they were going to send them. They were going to go down anyway. But to be honest,
yeah, but he got them out the relegation zone and everything, and then they sacked him. They were stone last.
Yeah, they were still going to go down. But I mean, apart from that, I'll give him a D. I would have given him a C from the start of the season that they've had, but because they've sacked the manager, again, like the first game of the season, they go and lose to Liverpool 5-0. I mean, Liverpool, a good side, but to be quite honest with you, like surely you don't go and lose the teams like that, especially at home as well. Like, they do sack managers too often. That's their DNA. That's Watford in a nutshell.
Like, how Chelsea used to be.
Yeah, but Chelsea was successful and they've got the money for it. Watford haven't.
Yeah. Aston Villa.
F.
Yeah.
I think they've been the biggest foul this season, to be quite honest with you. I think the expectation that Aston Villa should be setting with the squad of players that they've got. I mean, Danny Ings is a 15 to 20 goal guy a season. You've got Leon Bailey, who's highly ranked. Like, everyone talks about him. Buendia, Championship Player of the Season last year. They've got a great squad. Tyrone Mings, we've got Martinez in goal. We've got great players. We've got Kashkowski now at right back. But to be honest, they're a great squad, Aston Villa, and to be honest, they should not be where they should be. So yeah, for me, F at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with you. Another one that's sort of fallen off the rails this season is Leeds United.
E. They're just starting to gradually start to pick a bit of form. Like, not form, but they're starting to gradually start to compete in games. I mean, they narrowly, like the Leicester game at the weekend, they really competed against Leicester. I think the last couple of games he's starting to pick up, and I think Bielsa could be the next one that could be under a bit of pressure. But yeah, they shouldn't be where they should be, to be honest, Leeds, compared to last season. That second season syndrome is always a common factor. So yeah.
I think at the start of the season, people saying, "Oh, second season syndrome." We're only 11 games in, so we gotta take a break and let these teams establish themselves for the season. Because some teams start better than others. Like the next team, they had a fucking brilliant start to the season, Brentford, and they've been in a dip in form. So
that's why I give them I would have given them a B, but I'm going to give them a C.
Yeah.
Because of that last few games, they are starting to drop a lot of points, and the games that they should have beat, they dropped points against Norwich last weekend at home. I mean, they should be beating Norwich at home. But yeah, I would have given them a B because they got a point against Liverpool. They beat Arsenal. They really gave Chelsea a run for their money. They should have got a result in that game.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I mean, Brentford have been very good, but the last few games have just been let down, and I think they're already 4 points above the relegation zone. So it's
yeah.
I mean, another couple of games they could be drawn back into it, and a lot of people said that.
Oh no, 6.
A lot of people have
4.
been,
Sorry, 4.
I mean, I don't think they'll go down, but to be quite honest with you, the way they've been playing, they don't want to put themselves in that relegation fight by Christmas because they would be in trouble with the fixture congestion.
Yeah. Next up is Southampton. who are in a good bit of form at the moment.
I'm giving him a B. I
Yeah,
think what Hassan Hootel was done with that team, I tipped him to finish rock bottom this season. They've had no investment in the squad. They've done literally nothing in the summer. They lost their best player, Danny Ings. You know,
they've loaned 2 Chelsea players. That's all
yeah,
they've done.
and not being funny, like they was able. The best bit of business that has there's two bits of business that they've done at Southampton, which has really kept them going, and that's keeping hold of Hassan Hootel because I think he's an excellent coach, and that long term contract they gave Ward Prowse because
Yeah,
he's really that sort of spine in the team. So keeping hold of their captain was a big decision for Southampton, and I think they've done well. The first few games they started poor, but again, just putting faith in the management and putting faith in the players, and he's done pretty well.
yeah, yeah. For those of you that can't see it in the chat, I've said to give us your top 4 team ratings A to F. Will Newcastle are not in the top 4, so if you would like to change that, please do.
Newcastle was A.
12th, Leicester City.
D. Again,
Explain.
like I think I said last season that Leicester could struggle, and obviously they didn't. They won the FA Cup and they nearly went to the Champions League. But to be honest, this season they're struggling a little bit in Europe. They are struggling domestically. They're not the same Leicester side as what they've been. They've had maybe a couple of injuries, but so has everyone else. I mean, we had massive injuries last season. We had to deal with it. We were getting told get on with it, and we did. But I expect a bit more from Leicester. I really do. They should be, for me, always a team at the moment that should be pushing for top 4 and be a stable top 6 side. So they need to improve.
Yeah, they desperately do. I mean, last 2 seasons, narrowly missing out on the top 4 in both fashions was quite dramatic, I have to say. And for them to be sat in 12th, 11 games in, nearly a third into the season, it's something that they do desperately need to pick up on.
To be honest, I think that they're not going through it yet, but there will come a time they may go through some sort of transition period when Vardy retires. Because he's only going to have another year or two in him, and if Daka's the person that will take him further into that direction, let's see. So that obviously Iheanacho's there as well, but I mean that's where they're possibly going to go into that direction. Tielemans might not be there next season. They've got a good young player in Harvey Barnes, but it's can they be able to keep hold?
Like,
I think he's a good player, Harvey Barnes. I do think a lot of people overhype him because he's English.
he always gets an equaliser. That's all I know
He's
about
not.
him.
I don't like maybe, but if he was really that good, he would be in the England squad week in week out all the time. But he's not.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
injuries might be one thing, but there are better wingers out there than Harvey Barnes at the moment. So, he's a good player, but I don't think he's that level that could potentially get them further.
Everton, your favourite?
A. No, to be honest, I think C. I think
C?
Yeah, like Everton are where they should be. Like that's where Everton should be. I hear like, I've got a good friend who's an Everton fan who she's very, very level-headed with her team. But then you've got so many different Everton fans that think they should be like top 4. I mean, they won the league last year in September. I mean, like, there's just some stupid Everton fans out there that really are thinking that, Merseyside's blue and all that. Like, an absolute joke. Like, I mean, Tranmere is the second biggest team in Merseyside at the moment, to be fair. But no, I mean, I think they are where they are because of that's how good they are in that position. Benitez may be able to get them a top 10 finish, maybe challenge for the Conference League at best. They're not that good.
Yeah, I mean, years ago, Everton were a side that were considered a top 6, maybe top 7.
Like, I don't worry about Everton, to be quite honest with you. Like, when as a Liverpool fan, I'm more worried about Manchester United and Manchester City and Chelsea and Arsenal, Spurs. I don't worry about Everton. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that bad. The only thing, no, yeah.
Next up is Crystal Palace, a team a lot of people had to go down this year.
B. What a job Patrick Vieira's done at Crystal Palace. He's done an
Absolutely.
excellent job and a very underrated manager to bring in. I mean, they went after Santo, and Santo, you know, was turned down, and then obviously they went after Patrick Vieira, which a lot of people thought is it a great appointment. I mean, what he's getting out of the players. I mean, Zaha looks a different player this season. Benteke looks a bit of confidence, and that all comes down from it starts from the back. Guaita's done well this season. The boy that is it Guai, I think the centre back, he's done very well. And then obviously there's
Mark Guehi, sorry,
Mark Guehi,
from Chelsea, signing from
that's
Chelsea.
brilliant signing.
He's been the best centre back on paper this year.
I think if you look at who's the other one they got? Who was on loan at Fulham last year? Is it Anderson?
Yeah, Joachim Anderson.
Yeah, I think again rock solid at the back, and then you look at the midfield. You can't, and the rest like Conor Gallagher this season has been superb. What a player Chelsea have got on their books is they're not going to allow him to go Palace on a permanent deal. Let's put it that way. You could see Conor Gallagher in that Chelsea setup next season. Next season I expect if Conor Gallagher carries his form on, Conor Gallagher you will see him in that Chelsea setup next season. And you got the was it the player they got from Reading, Olise, is it?
Michael Olise. Oh, what a baller!
Yeah, a bit, but great young players they've got, and
Eze, very similar.
Eze, they've got Edouard up top as well. They've got even string players like fringe players like Jordan Ayew and Jeffrey Schlupp. Like Patrick Vieira really looks like he's got something there at Palace. Yeah, he's club captain, isn't he? And you got McCarthy. Yeah. They've got they've got some very good players at Crystal Palace, and he's done an excellent job so far.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Spurs.
See, again, like the squad of players they've got, maybe they could be competing top 6, but you take Kane or Son out of that team when they're in big form. I don't see anyone in that Spurs team that can really push. They've now got a manager that is able to probably get better out of these players, but I'm not threatened by Spurs at the moment. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter how bad form we're in or whatever. When we play Spurs, I expect to win the game. So, yeah. Probably going to go with a C. I expect him to be in that position at the moment.
Yeah. Kind of where I would give him a D, maybe a C.
Of course you would.
I'll give him an F if I wanted to.
Give him an
A. Wolves.
B.
They've come up under the radar
again,
this year.
Similar to Crystal Palace. A lot of people thought, including myself, they lost their manager, they lost their goalkeeper. This would be a season where Wolves are really going to struggle. The return of Raul Jimenez has given them so much confidence to this team. And it even makes it even interesting where players like Ruben Neves ain't even guaranteed his starting 11 position. Mm-hmm. That just goes to show how good Wolves have been at the moment as well. So no, fair play to Wolves, and for being in that position at the moment, they are playing some good football.
Yeah, well, as you say, Yusuf's giving them a B. I'm also going to give them a B. Wolves, again, like I said, have come up right under the radar this year. Last year it was a bit unstable, a bit off the rails. Will's put C.5. I don't know what that means. Wolves, they're in that position they were in when they first came up from the Championship, that sort of European area, looking to break into either the Conference or the Europa League, and what a job Bruno Lage is doing there. Probably the surprise package of the Prem so far. Maybe another. Brighton.
A. It doesn't matter about the last few results that Brighton have had. Graham Potter is, for me, Graham Potter right now is probably the best English coach in the Premier League right now.
Him and David Moyes are on.
David Moyes is Scottish, but I know British. You mean British. I know what you mean. I mean, Brendan Rodgers is up there as well as British. But to be honest, what a job Graham Potter's done. There's a reason why he's linked on. Something Brighton robbed us. Like, you're Newcastle, you're shit. But to be honest,
wait, did we miss Brentford?
No, we done Brentford. I gave him a D because
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
I
we
gave them a
did, we
C.
did, we did, we did.
But with Brighton, I mean, they got a point at Anfield. They should have won the game.
That strike from Mwepu. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
like I mean, like, if he meant it or not, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it is what
Who
it is. But
cares?
here's what it is. But to be honest, Graham Potter's done an excellent job there. And I turned around and said, I'll always remember it. I turned around and said about when they sacked Chris Hughton. And a lot of people thought, oh, that's harsh. That's harsh. No, they've done that because Chris Hughton went on a run. I think it was about 3 wins in about 27 games. It was really
Yeah, I
bad
remember
form.
that.
And Brighton have clearly shown over the last 12 months, they don't want to just be a team that is stuck around in the relegation battle. They want to push on. They really want
Yeah.
to try and get as high up the table as they can. Similar to the way Bournemouth were when they first got into the Premier League. They didn't want to just stay there. They wanted to try and progress higher up. And Brighton have done a
Yeah.
brilliant job. The signings that they've made, Lallana's on a free transfer. What a signing that is. You know, they've got experience. I mean, Malpay's a good striker as well. They're
He's
a
a
good
cheat
young
as
side.
well.
Yeah. They're a good young side, Brighton. And for me, they've been, as you said, one of the surprise packages, but a good side and a very dangerous team to play.
I mean, the fact that they're in the form that they are, which I think is without a win in 5, and to still be in 7th is incredible. It just shows how good they were at the start.
But they're
of the season.
grinding results out. Like I mean, even
Yeah.
that the Liverpool result, they should have won the game. Like you know,
Yeah.
Aston Villa just clearly lost 5 games. Brighton have found ways to get results anyway.
Yeah,
So
I think that's the difference there, 100%. Manchester United.
A plus. Keep him in the
plus.
job. Ollie's at the
Star,
wheel.
maybe.
Ollie's at the wheel. Keep him in the job. He is the best manager in the Premier League. I really want him to stay. I'm not being funny, but you know, when you've bought players in like Ronaldo, Varane, Sancho, you must be an excellent manager. He come out and said that he's got the greatest coaching staff in the world. Give him an A. Excellent. Yeah. I love the board. And I love people like Rio Ferdinand that's come out and said, "Oh, get the contract out." And now he's come out and said that I think he should go. No, let him stay because Gary Neville, Roy Keane, you all back him. You've all backed him, and you all want him to stay. And these pundits know more than all of us. So A star for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. A star, keep him in the job. What job Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's doing?
All right, what's your actual rating?
A star. A star. Right.
Right. Okay.
Sorry. Nah. You have to. If I'm going to go really, really neutral, you have to give him an F. I'm not even being because I'm a Liverpool fan. They've got Ronaldo. They've got Sancho. They've got Varane. They've got De Gea. They've got the man. They've spent the most money since Ferguson left. Like they spent over £1 billion. Like
yeah.
Manchester,
If I just have a look.
Like I'm not being funny.
Yeah,
like
okay.
I would love the amount of money that United have spent over the last 10 years. Like
this 100%. They wouldn't even be in the top 15. They wouldn't. They'd be bottom of the Champions League group.
The thing is, like we had the same. I think people have had the same debate last season about Aubameyang last year at Arsenal. Like they'd be in a position. Like everyone, you got to get on with it. Like that's how it is. Like where would Liverpool be without Salah's goals? You know, like you can't just base it around one player. But
I think that's where Chelsea come in a bit clutch, is because all of our goals don't come from one.
They come, but that's
the whole
the type
team involves it.
But that's the type of football you play. Like Liverpool play a type of football, for example, where we rely on Salah, we rely on Mane to get us out of trouble with the goals. So teams are different. So I don't really look at those comments and I think, oh well, it's Ronaldo. They could have someone else up front. They may be able to score the goals that he does. But to be honest, with the players that they've got and the players have signed and the amount of money that they've spent this summer, they've failed miserably. But keep him in the job because at the end of the day, it is what it is, you know, and we're all happy. Like, it's embarrassing for teams like Leeds and Aston Villa singing like Ollie's at the wheel. Like, that's how embarrassing it's got for United.
Yeah.
Even Dagenham Rugby sang it the other night to Gary Neville in the FA Cup. Like,
that's
Ollie's at the wheel, mate.
You know, it's bad when, like you said, the lower league teams and leagues 5 divisions below you are singing.
I'll ask you a question. I know you obviously want to talk about the other teams, but I'll ask you a question. Obviously, guys in the comments. Is Steve Bruce a better, higher level manager than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Because Ole done fuck all at Cardiff. Let's be real. He
Leave
done
it to the
nothing at Cardiff.
comments.
The
Leave
only
it to the
reason
comments.
the only reason why he's at United this long is because he's a club legend.
Yeah, I agree, and
because he's at the
I
wheel.
agree. Will says no. Yusuf says yes. Right, Arsenal.
B.
100%. They
What
had
job Arteta's
the
done?
worst start to the season. They lost all 3 of their opening games, including one to Brentford, who had just their first game in the Premier League. They battered Arsenal in that game. Chelsea beat Arsenal 2-0. City beat them 5-0. They were rock bottom. Spurs were top of the league at that point. And now look at it.
What a job Arteta's done under pressure.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what Solskjaer should have been doing. You know, Santo should have been trying to do. He's won the FA Cup. The guy. I mean, he's won the FA Cup. He's done well since his defeats.
Me about that, please.
No, but yeah, but I mean, the guy is under the most pressure out of any other manager, including Solskjaer, and he's turned Arsenal around, relegating threatened Arsenal are now 2 points behind title challengers Liverpool. They're above United, who were challenging for the title.
Yeah.
They're above Spurs. They're only 6 points off Chelsea. I mean,
don't want to hear it.
They're not going to win the league, of course not for me. But how has he got them 6 points behind Chelsea at this stage in the season? You got to give him credit. And his next game is at Anfield. It's not an easy place to go to, of course not. But you know what? The form that we've been in the last few games, Arsenal got to give them every chance that they can get a result out of that game.
100%. I mean, if Ramsdale starts, will his unbeaten run continue? He is a phenomenal goalkeeper.
Should be England's number 1 at the moment.
He should be England's number 1 at the moment. But no, Southgate will stick with Pickford as he always does.
But Pickford, to be fair, does play well for England. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I'll give him that. But your boys, Liverpool. Wait, hang on. I need to scroll up a bit here because I remember Yusuf put. What did he put? He said A/B for Liverpool.
I want to give him an A. Well, I think if it would have beaten West Ham, I think it'd have been an A. Because I do think, and that's not just me being biased, but we've had 1 defeat in 26 games in our unbeaten run. We've had 1 defeat all season. We've already qualified for the Champions League last 16. We've won our first 4 games. We're in a League Cup quarter-final. We're only 4 points off the top. We haven't spent any money. Liverpool were debated at the start of the season as they're going to fall off. You know, they're going to not be able to compete. They're not, you know what I mean? All right, there's been a few games we've dropped points this season, but everyone will drop points. But Liverpool, again, are the team that, in my opinion, you never, ever write off. And everyone's done it. And you know what? Liverpool are proving a lot of people wrong at the moment with the position that they're in. So I'm going to go for a B just because of that result last weekend, because I do think that was a shocking performance and the goals that we are conceding at the moment are quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
But it can be an A depending on the next sort of, again, as I said before, like, you know, halfway through the season. So let's see what happens.
West Ham.
A.
Nothing more to say, really.
Manager of the season at the moment. He's got, in my opinion, this is going to sound a bit out of the blocks. He's got the player of the season at the moment in Declan Rice. He has been, like, Declan Rice has proved me wrong. He's proved so many people wrong. I just felt he was a player that gets the ball, plays it sideways and does fuck all with it. But what a player he's got there. He had an excellent Euros. For me, he gets in any Premier League team at the moment. And that includes Liverpool, because our midfield options at the moment are abysmal. And yeah, David Moyes, West Ham fans owe him a massive apology. Yeah, because 100%. Everyone wanted him sacked. He weren't good enough. Again, Europe, they've started off very well, and they're 3rd in the Premier League. I mean, what a job he's done there. Unbelievable job. West Ham, for me, have been, apart from City and Chelsea in the table-wise, they've been probably the best team to watch this season.
100%. They play really exciting football. Antonio's been on fire. Souček's been great. Rice has been phenomenal. They've just been all round solid. Absolutely solid. Manchester City.
B.
Yep. Do
The squad,
explain.
the squad they've got, like you expect them to be where they are, but they had obviously they've not. I think recently they've stepped it up the last sort of 4 or 5 games. You see, Manchester City have started to gradually get back to their self, but I do worry about them a little bit without that centre forward. You know, they're playing Jesus out on the right. I mean, obviously, it clearly shows that Pep's got a lot of faith in the likes of Foden, um, Bernardo Silva, etc., like them sort of players. But I do think that Man City do need to slightly improve a little bit going into that next half of the season. But as Andrew said in the
Yeah.
chat, they've had a couple of poor results. I mean, they lost to Spurs. I think they've only lost 1 game this season, to be fair.
2, I think.
I mean, I know they lost to Spurs. I don't know if they've lost
Yeah,
a second
they've
game.
lost twice. They lost to Palace.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, sorry. They lost at home to Palace, didn't they? Yeah, I mean, Palace have always been a bogey team for Man City recently, to be fair. No, I'm just looking at his comment. I disagree. I think Jack Grealish was always going to go for that amount of money. That's the English market. That's the current tax. Declan Rice will go for 100 million. Like, these English players are going to go for a lot of money. But yeah, did he say who's MC Andrew? That's what we'll call him, Andrew.
Will.
I know it's Will, but I just put Andrew in there. Very well done, man.
Yeah. Next up is Chelsea.
I would say A because the end of the big F. I would say A, but to be honest, I think with this, maybe I might be a bit horrible saying this, but I think it's just a B at the moment because I do feel that Chelsea do need to do a little bit more in games. I do think that at the moment you're probably still favourites slightly, but I do feel that I just think there's something extra that Chelsea do need to do in a lot of games. The Burnley game, is that a worry for you? Maybe could that happen again? I don't know. I mean, it might have been a blip, for Chelsea. That's where I think you may struggle a little bit is the fact of you may dominate games but not be able to put the ball in the back of the net more than once.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Proof's in the pudding. We don't finish games off. We
And
win
that's your
1-0,
downfall.
we win 2-0, yeah. I know we beat Norwich 7-0, but it's Norwich.
Yeah, City, like teams like City, and I'll put Liverpool to that level as well. 1-0, they won't win 1-0. They'll win 2-0. They'll win 3-4-1, etc. When they win games quite comfortably. Chelsea, yes, they've done it. Of course they have. They've done it in other games, but I just feel there are a few games where Chelsea could. I think out of the 3, I think Chelsea are the team where they may scrape the 1-0, if you know what I mean. And they might not be able to finish off games.
I agree.
Will said not £100. I know he's not worth £100. Of course he isn't. 25
I'm probably
million.
worth more than £100.
20, mate, you're mad. Mate, Grealish is one of the best players that were playing outside the top 6 before they signed him.
Will's always hated Grealish just because he plays for Villa. And I've always questioned it, but
it's clever business. But it's clever business from Aston Villa. They told him at the end of the season last year, like not the season before they sold him, if a top 4 club comes in, they have to pay 100 million because of Champions League.
Yeah.
What business? It doesn't matter if he's worth that or whatever like that. We all know he's probably not worth that amount of money, but that's not the player's fault. I know I sound a bit horrible, but I hate people when they come out and say, "Oh, that he's not worth that amount of money." We know he's not worth that amount of money. That's the club's fault for doing that. It's not the player's fault.
The player doesn't say you have to buy me. It's the club that if like Chelsea signed Lukaku for 97 million, that's how much the Inter Milan and Chelsea negotiated for. When we signed Kepa for 60 odd, that's how much they negotiated for. Everyone knows that was daylight robbery.
That was a panic.
That's what happened. You can't blame the player. You can't blame the fans. You have to blame the club.
Yeah, I think that one was a panic, but I agree with you. That was
what it is.
He said Grealish is worth 25 million max. I mean, Liverpool bought Mo Salah for 35. Is Mo Salah worth 35 million? No.
No, 36 maybe.
Yeah, 36.2 probably. No. He's Mo Salah probably in this day market. He's probably worth around the 100, 150 million market. To be quite honest with you,
Yeah. So
maybe more.
yeah. Touch on it quickly because I'm running out of time. I've got dinner.
What? What?
Just
Eat your dinner later.
I'm running out of time. No, I'm joking. All right, come on then. Xavi rejoins Barcelona. Or as coach this time rather than player? What do you think?
Who else were they going to appoint? Don't get me wrong, he's not really done too much in his managerial career, but it's a different one, isn't it, compared to like Lampard? Because Lampard, when Chelsea appointed him, I don't think he was probably Chelsea's first choice. But to be quite honest with you, I think that Chelsea knew there was a stopgap and they knew that there was going to be progression later on. With Barcelona, it just looks like a sinking ship.
It's just a mess, isn't it?
It's an absolute mess over there. Like 1.4 billion debt.
Yeah, I was about to say when we appointed Lampard, we didn't have this many problems.
But if you look at,
we didn't have any problems.
But if you look at the only problem that he did have at the time was the transfer embargo, but that was only going to last a certain amount of time. But with Barcelona, like, who wants to go there? Who's going to want to work with that amount of players? You're not going to get any money. He'll take it. He'll take it. But we're talking about net worth earlier. I mean, Xavi's probably worth a fortune as well. He's probably worth more than Barcelona, to be quite honest with you.
Right now, probably, yeah. I think we're all worth more than Barcelona.
As a player, he was probably one of the greatest midfield players of all time. The role he played, the Xavi role, was just an exceptional player.
The role's named after him.
Yeah,
because of how well he did it.
Exceptional. But to be honest, if he does well, good luck to him. But Barcelona at the moment, the reason why he's probably the main target again, because who's going to want to go there? They're not going to want to pay someone that amount of money. He's obviously got a deal where he's able to accept it, and Barcelona can pay him a certain amount. So,
yeah,
let's see what he does there.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for being in the comments, especially Yusuf and Will and Ricky earlier on. Luke, thank you very much for wasting nearly an hour of your time rambling on about different things to do with Premier League and European football a little bit there. If you guys haven't already, make sure you go over to the 92 Red podcast. They are smashing it at the moment. Is there anything you'd like to say on that, Luke?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much for letting me come onto your channel. Hopefully the subscribers will come up, because obviously it does take time. Yeah, if you haven't already, please come and join us on the 8092 Reds podcast. This week we are hopefully getting a couple of videos in. We are going to be focusing a lot about women in football, women in sport. We've got a couple of special guests lined up for that. I believe on Thursday, I think we've got an episode with a Liverpool fan. Yeah, I mean, why do you want to come on a woman's show?
You're hosting a woman's show.
No, but yeah, we've got a couple of women coming onto the podcast to talk about their experience, etc. So and then of course the following week we've got our Arsenal preview. So, and hopefully we've got Mr. Lee Judges going to be hopefully joining us on the show, which would be amazing. So hopefully that will be the case. So yeah, come and hit us, come and like and come subscribe to our podcast.
Definitely go do it. Lee Judges, Adam Burns, similar in stature, aren't they?
He'll be on the review, I think.
Yeah, roughly about the same.
I'm on Adam's podcast this weekend with a Brazil review.
Oh, right.
And Rick's on it as well.
Ricky's on it.
Rick's coming on. Yeah, I told him.
No offense, Rick, but what does he know about F1?
I told him. I said, watch the race, watch the sprint race, and actually look at the championship table. I said, you can't just go on about 1997 with Hakkinen and the Jordans and all them other. So yeah, no, Ricky's been asked to go on the review for the Brazil Grand Prix.
That will be interesting. Yeah, so we'll end it there. Thank you everyone for watching. Once again, Luke, thank you for coming on, and we'll see you all later.